I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, hello there, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon, and hopefully you're getting some of the rainfall this evening because our chances are not looking very good as drought conditions have expanded substantially. So when we talked about this 1 week ago, not that we haven't mentioned drought every day. Hey, welcome you into the Room to Room Weather Center on Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We'll see our meteorologist Gabe Maynard looking at that drought monitor here in just a couple of minutes. But outside this evening, luckily there is still something wet falling from the sky. Tracking some isolated storms. You kind of see the Tupelo camera there in the background of that shot. Those storms are heavy, arguably strong from time to time. A few wind gusts, maybe 40, 45 miles per hour. Most are below severe limits, though we have had a couple warnings down in central Mississippi earlier on today. Rain chances trend down beyond today. There's still limited ones for tomorrow, maybe arguably a couple for the weekend, but largely drier conditions as temperatures climb into the upper 90s, could be near the triple digit point, will be in excess of that for some locations as we go into the first part of next week. Hey, still 89, rain coverage 30 to maybe 40% or so, still at around 6 p.m., at 9 p.m., 79, that temperature. I'm thinking just how hot it's going to be a couple days from now. 20% of that rain coverage and most of those showers out of here as we head into the overnight hours, down to around 74 by 3 a.m. and 72 to begin the first part of your morning. In the Room to Room Weather Center, we're tracking right now in our Tupelo camera, 90 degrees the temperature, but yes, looking towards some of those showers. That's what the dark gray is there, looking toward the horizon. On Mississippi Live Weather Radar, the latest scans on that, again, showing up with the moderate rainfall for some spots, heavier rainfall, and this a longer loop here, but showing again this thunderstorm expecting to expand into Shannon within the next few minutes. We'll bring it back to the current scans, and we'll make this a shorter loop, only the last hour or so. What you can tell over that time, we did have this flare up around the Parkersburg area. That has collapsed near Van Vliet. And again, I know if you're in Oklahoma hoping for some rainfall, that kind of misses you to a certain extent. This batch in Troy just started to actually show a little bit of movement toward the east. I say that there are some spots there that this hasn't really moved at all. And because of that, the rainfall rate, which is fairly high there, up where you see the pinks and the heavy to almost blinding rainfall, has added up just in the last hour or so to around an inch, maybe a little more than that for some spots. One of the blessings out of this for some locations. So Van Vliet, about an inch plus, about an inch and a half already, and this hasn't been going for even an hour. So some isolated flooding issues, a possibility with the amount of rain these are dropping. It's just very isolated, unfortunately, and not something that everybody is experiencing. And again, we have those clusters there. Yalobusha County over the last 3 hours, one of the more impressive spots where we have a few locations there where rainfall totals near Yalobusha County and Calhoun's, Coffeyville there, coming in about 2.7 inches, and then right on the Calhoun and Yalobusha line, 2.2 inches estimated on Mississippi Live Weather Radar there out toward Oakland, about 1.7 inches. But when you look at where the precipitation is now, the rainfall is now at this point here, there's some spots where we still have it ongoing out there in Yalobusha County. 1 hour loop. Again, not a lot of movement on these. That's where you get into some of that flooding potentials. If they just don't move much, then one, it makes it difficult for us to track. But watch how this one here kind of expands back to the north and west. And then you have these from the north and west that kind of expand back into it as well. It tells you these are disorganized. Now, that's the number one thing I want to mention, because any dark, fingery looking clouds, these are not tornado-producing thunderstorms. They're heavy rainfall, they're gusty wind, and primarily those two things out of these as they progress. And again, the heavy rainfall could lead to, from time to time, some issues related to the flooding potential there. A couple cameras we're going to check out here. I'm going to check out our camera there in Oxford. We have some showers in and around Lafayette County, kind of looking back through the tower there at some of the dark clouds. 91, the current temperature at this instant, winds about 7 miles per hour, so not affecting truly Oxford proper there as we're kind of looking around the area. Pontotoc, though, obviously we looked in Tupelo a minute ago to our camera there, and our camera in Pontotoc looking into some of the darker grays. That camera, you can always kind of tell the direction. I don't know if you can see that on your screen there. I see how it's pointed from the upper left to the lower right. It says it's looking toward the southeast. That tells us we're looking into that storm at this instant. Temperature also coming in around 90 degrees in the Pontotoc area at this moment and time. A few thunderstorms, pretty heavy up here close to the Tennessee state line, out toward the Memphis area as well. Of course, we do cover northwest Mississippi, so we're watching for you in Olive Branch, Miller Wells. We look there just right at the state line, and you'll notice some darker pinks showing up. Lightning on this one, about 135 strikes over the course of the last 30 minutes or so. Looking three-dimensionally on this, I'm going to kind of cut it 3D, and we're going to go primarily to that slice that we often show. I think that's probably the best way to begin this. So again, putting on that 3D radar data, and I'm going to go straight to the slice.
Hey, Matt.
And as we slice into that, we'll look at that in just a second, Gabe. You can see some of that really, really heavy precipitation. So maybe a few hailstones with this. I think primarily it's gusty winds and heavy rainfall. Yes, Gabe?
You might also get a better look out of the Memphis radar site on this storm as well.
Okay, that's a great idea. So let's see if it will, I don't know if it's, actually, I think I can do it over here as opposed to over there. So without kind of changing everything around. Let's go and change that to NQA. We'll get a shot there. And yeah, you do see perhaps a little bit of that heavier, maybe if a couple of hailstones up there, that 30,000 feet line. We have pink that high. This one, as it collapses, could potentially be one that prompts a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, watching that closely for you up here closer to Olive Branch. Yeah, look at that really heavy stuff. That big hail core, that's what's starting to fall down. I think some hail and certainly gusty winds with that. So slicing through that one there, that is certainly the strongest we do have around the region. Bringing it back to two-dimensional mode. Thank you, Gabe, for stopping me on that there. Somebody's got to be watching my back, and I appreciate it being you. Again, that's sliding toward the south and east. I am going to utilize you, though, Gabe, here to do a bit of a track on that toward the southeast. The speed on this is not particularly fast. I would still have even that part right there moving probably only about... you can do probably 15 miles an hour. I think if it were to pull out there, I only have this on a 30-minute loop, so that's the reason why it doesn't look like it's moving very far. So we show Olive Branch about 510 there, closer to Byhalia about 554 if it kind of continues toward the south and east. These are likely to collapse before that, but certainly a possibility that maybe that one can hang on. Let's go ahead and widen things back out here and bring it back to the precipitation mode out of the Columbus radar site, which is a little more centrally located for us. And as we do that, again, the thunderstorms out there toward Tallahatchie County that we're also watching at this time. Again, closer to Charleston and just to the west of 35. Not a lot of movement on these. We need a little faster loops. Give me a moment to enable our 1 hour loop again so we can kind of see the progression a little bit better. Yeah, that's a lot of really heavy rainfall with that. I don't think, again, we'll assess this using our threat tracker on this, which allows us to look at, what are the threats if you boil it all down to one level. We do have some of the darker blue on that there. That's some spots where we could potentially have maybe some, again, I think more than anything else, it's going to end up being the heavy rainfall out of this and just blinding rainfall, but that does say a potential there maybe to have some hailstones up in excess of an inch in size. So on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, one severe thunderstorm warning back out there into Arkansas. For our area, largely we are, again, faced with a few of these thunderstorms. I'm going to check actually out here toward Attala County. It does look like those have gotten a little bit stronger in the last few minutes as well. This one in eastern Attala County near the Webster-Attala County line with its intersection there, southern Choctaw County, looks fairly interesting as well. Back to the regular rainfall mode. I'm not overly impressed looking at that, but I will bet if we go 3D on this that it's going to look a little more impressive. And it does as we kind of cut through the whole mess here and look in just a little bit closer on that. Hopefully it doesn't go past it. It did, so we're going to have to slide it back. I do still, again, it's fairly high up there. I think the hail is still caught up there, and so as that tries to fall down there north of the East Macedonia area, just kind of the east of the Ethel area and west there of Ackerman and High Point, that's where, again, that is most likely to be a little bit stronger there. Again, south of where it's that main cluster that we are looking at. Let's look at the loop on that over the last hour for those folks. And again, this is really kind of just getting going the last few minutes here. Watch this loop. As you can see, just almost out of nowhere it pops up. It's a reminder that I think the heaviest in this case is a little higher up there in the clouds. That's part of the reason why we're tracking that for you there. So back out toward Lexington, another one of those. But again, these are primarily, again, no tornadoes, anything like that, but a lot of heavy rainfall, in some cases nearly blinding rainfall possible out of this batch there. So again, I think we'll see the coverage of rainfall increase over the next hour, hour and a half. Let's come back to that Tupelo tower cam, get another shot of that. Again, back into some of those thunderstorms there. And as this kind of readjusts to that Tupelo tower cam, you'll notice again the darker gray still showing up. And this is looking back toward the south and west and into that thunderstorm. Still some sharper sort of shapes on this, so it's not completely fuzzy. Lightning on the increase, possibility maybe some power disruptions with that. That's one of the things we'll have Gabe check on here in a couple minutes as well. So again, you see the radar on our scan here close. What's going on in the bigger picture here? Let's widen this thing out. Let's look at the whole southeastern United States. We have this front that's going to stall, and honestly, it's not true. It's going to ooze in, but it just doesn't have any colder air, despite the fact it kind of alludes that it might. And that's going to bring with it drier air that starts shoving the moisture out of here, and that will actually turn up the temperatures, which is why it's kind of a misnomer when we show it kind of as a stationary to cold front. The heaviest rainfall back to the west of us largely at this point in time. So looking at Futurecast over the course of the next 24 hours or so, the overall pattern here continue to have scattered showers. We'll get in close and in depth, walk through this hour by hour with our meteorologist Gabe Maynor here in a minute, but you can see still some of those showers lingering 10, maybe even 11 p.m. for tonight, diminishing as we go into the overnight hours as we have that lingering cloud cover around. Friday, we're starting things off with perhaps a couple little spotty showers as well. That is something, I will bring it in here for just a moment, that this still does depict, possibly impacting your morning commute and possibly your school day forecast, which Gabe will have coming up here in just a couple minutes as well. But in general, things are drier early in the day than in the afternoon, and even then in the afternoon, we expect them to be fairly spotty. So starting off around 72, we're 89 by noontime, 92 by 3 p.m. rain coverage, around 20% or so. Some folks still hitting the lottery on this, and others of us, seems like those of us here in the Weather Center still hoping that maybe it works out for us. So we'll have your complete, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we hold those hundreds to our heart very closely.
That's a good way to put that. Because if we don't get it tonight, tomorrow's chances are not as good, and then it does not get better from there. The forecast continued pretty dry ahead, unfortunately. We're breaking that down in more detail coming up here in 60 seconds, live from the Room to Room Weather Center on Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
At Absolute Restoration, our team will feel magical, since our focus is on serving you and your roofing needs. Finding a roofer who actually shows up and communicates, that's just one of the problems we solve by informing you of every step in the process.
Selling premium roofing systems backed by warranties and payment plans starting at just $99 per month. Trust Absolute Restoration to deliver.
Experience unicorn-level service and affordability from a team your community trusts. Call Absolute Restoration today.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We're starting with a look at power outages across the region, and so far 1,000 outages there towards Tippah County, and you can see 200 over and around the Alcorn County area. Now expanding things out, we can see even more outages there towards Memphis and more really out there towards Arkansas. So besides Tippah County and Alcorn County, we're really the benefactors on that forecast. But power outages not the only thing to worry about heading into our Thursday evening. This was a look yesterday there in Booneville. Some of those flooding rainfall rates in Booneville got about 2.5 inches. So it shows that little bit of rainfall over a short period of time definitely builds up and could cause some isolated flooding in some spots. That was 9th Street in Booneville. And here's a look at the waterway right beside it. I mean, that's just going to be an absolute downpour. That water rushing down the creek. So definitely getting a good look at that across the Booneville area. But that's just a result of these showers, those summer thunderstorms. They definitely start to build in strength and really produce some heavy rainfall rates. But let's get away from flooding and talk about the other threat. That's going to be those gusty winds. You can see that branch fell, unfortunately, right on top of one of those vehicles. So whenever it's going to be those gusty days, make sure to park away from those trees, because even some large limbs, if they break and fall, can be damaging. And you can see right there on the windshield, that cracked windshield. So it's unfortunate. It also fell across the bed of the truck. You can see where it broke off there at the top of your screen right there. Basically, it doesn't look like a healthy tree, so it probably didn't take too much to break it. Probably about 20 to 30 miles an hour. Knocked that limb over, and unfortunately right there on the bed of the truck. So glad everyone's okay. That's what we have confirmed across the area, but it's still going to pack a punch with a few of these isolated showers and storms. Lily in Tupelo captured this great shot yesterday, and this is always the great part of a rainy forecast is the rainbows you get afterwards. That sunshine highlighting a good portion of the area, and we got that here in Tupelo, actually right outside of the Mississippi Live Weather Center. Matt, we should have went outside yesterday.
I mean, we had so many rainbows, it would have been smart, right?
We missed out. We did.
That's okay.
But let's
Maybe
go
next
ahead.
time.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe today.
Possibly. And if not today, well, there's going to be limited chances for the next several days. So today is your opportunity. Aberdeen giving us some great rays up in the sky, 95 degrees, but you see that feels like value. 108 degrees this afternoon, and reason why is because there's not been that much moisture there in Monroe County. Now, showers are trending that way, but so far through the day, it's been a hot, muggy forecast, and those conditions will remain until that rainfall gets here or until sunset happens. Batesville, 86 degrees, got a few of those showers earlier on today, so that's why we have those cooler temperatures. Feels like 91, so that's the fortunate thing. These showers do give us that rain-cooled air, and so it drops our temperatures off just a bit. And it wasn't just over there in Batesville, we also have it down there around Kosciuszko. This is looking on the north side of town, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's over there. Oh gosh, yeah. It's near the radio station.
I gotcha. So I believe this is looking north. So the storms are actually behind my head out there towards the east, the heaviest portions that we were watching on our threat tracker. But 88 degrees, that is the good thing with those rain showers on top of just a much needed rainfall that we need here across the region. So we'll take it for sure. Just, is that paused? Oh, I thought that was just a hovering wasp. That was about to be so cool. I was about to lose my mind. 86 degrees there in Crenshaw, feels like 91. It wouldn't be a surprise. We've seen all the stuff here in North Mississippi here recently. So a floating wasp, don't put it past them. Well, I do want to say wasp fly. So that's what, I know they do that, but floating.
Yeah, but wasps fly. Wow. The more you know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh man.
I'm a little punchy today. Go ahead.
It's fun. It keeps it light. But what's not light is the heavy rainfall across the area. We have that heavy downpour down in southern Lee County. That's starting to move more towards Shannon and Nettleton. So we'll have an updated track on that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. But out behind there, you can see the cluster of storms that are really starting to pick up. So that 6, 7 o'clock time frame, we're going to continue to see those showers and thunderstorms stick around the area. Still very isolated. And as we figured out in the Manor House yesterday, some pockets do not get rain showers, and like even right there in the middle. I mean, we're talking about the heart of Grenada, probably not getting too much rainfall because the heaviest portions are below them on I-55 and even on the north side of town. So there's your split. Yeah, downtown Grenada is probably watching us saying, what are you talking about, rain showers? Well, it's just unfortunate. The positioning can definitely not be the most beneficial. And looking at a few of those, I mean, it is exactly split. That is awfully unfortunate.
Look at the lightning on the south one there. You can kind of see the lightning strikes growing into Grenada.
It is, so maybe there's a chance.
I'm hoping that's a chance. I think it probably builds in. Yeah, look at that. I think it's expanding northward.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, so it's following a lot of these outflow boundaries that are kind of driving this forecast. As they continue to remain on that leading edge right there, it will move there towards Grenada, moving north. And you can see some times listed at the top right of your screen. Glenwild right about 526, the Grenada area 541, Grenada Landing 555, and then Riverdale by about 604. So that's one of the many storms we're watching across the region. That one really the most energetic. I want to look at this one over there towards Charleston because that's starting to get a little bit more of that lightning output. We talked about earlier on about 90 strikes. Now we're up to close to 170 on that one specific storm over the last 30 minutes. Breaking this down 3D, what would you say those heights are? 15, 20,000 feet?
I would say it's probably 20, maybe. I don't think we're quite 25,000. When you have the tool, let's answer the question.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the main hail core there, only about 15. I'm gonna see if it'll let me go back. We'll go really slow on this last 15 minutes. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was wondering. Watch here. When we were looking toward the top of the broadcast, it was all the way up around 25,000. That's at the very least blinding rainfall, probably some hail. Whatever hail it has is probably falling now, just kind of looking at that. That's the bigger hail core there kind of falling out of it.
Well, and we mentioned that there is hail possible with a lot of these storms. The thing with whenever we say there's hail possible, it has to reach it all the way to the surface. And we have a warm surface here in the summer forecast of Mississippi, so probably not seeing as large of hailstones as what we're seeing aloft. So that 1.5-inch hailstone that we're getting on our threat tracker, probably reaching the surface at most about dime-sized in diameter. So not overly high on those hailstones, but the fact that we are getting hail, I mean, that shows you how significant these storms are.
Here's a good example though, Gabe, right there. This would be northern Carroll County. pretty much right there south of Grenada, that one that's expanding in Grenada. That's got a hail core up there around 25 to 30,000 feet, and where you're kind of seeing those strongest returns, that really probably could be some severe hail. We will see whether or not Weather Service, that's technically the Jackson area, decides to do something with that. But that one, you could make an argument, has some severe hail with it, potentially.
And is that out of Monroe County?
That is out of Monroe County that we're seeing that. So, and then we're looking high enough up that in some cases we want to look high, and this is one of those instances.
Yeah, I mean, hail with the higher towering tops, it can be the bigger hailstones that produce. And so that's why we look at how high aloft those hail cores develop, because those updrafts take those stones, those tiny ice crystals, they basically bump against each other, and as they reach their way all the way to the top, well, then they get on the downdrafts and start to swing down, and that's when it moves closer to the surface. So it has to have that vertical development for some of those larger hailstones to form. So whenever we're getting that, like that one there in Carroll County, definitely possible to see some of those hailstones reach the surface. That 3D model definitely shows a lot of these, getting those towering tops. So again, wouldn't be surprised to see a few hailstones try to develop, but it does have to survive the warmer temperatures here at the surface.
Yeah, there'll be some melting.
Yes, for sure. Let's go ahead. Is Attala County still something to pay attention to?
Yeah, so we're looking at Attala County on both sides in this case.
Sorry, the horizontal mode kind of threw me
off.
No, I just was, it threw me off in the positioning. I don't know why we were still in Carroll County in my head. But there's a look in Attala County. You can see that one that was developing and continuing to build. I mean, these are very cyclical in nature, so they're going to follow an outflow boundary until the outflow moves out ahead of it, and then will diminish in strength just a bit. So this is moving at about 20 miles an hour or so, and we're seeing Vaden by about 537, Poplar Creek 556, Kilmichael closer to 611, and then closer to Winona by about 611 as well. You see that on the northernmost part of the track. So that's one of the storms we're watching. Let's get another track on that one on the eastern Attala County line, basically on the southern Choctaw County area, as that continues to move through Ackerman and Ware. I believe we had some folks in chat actually talking about this storm, saying they got some moderate rainfall associated with it. So that's good news to hear, because that means it's not going to be anything severe, but in that moderate rainfall is something we need. Just don't go driving in it, because it can be blinding in nature. Ackerman closer to about 547. We're seeing the Fulcher area 602, and Reform over there, of course, in Choctaw County, that's going to be about 607 as well.
And a clarification from the North Mississippi Storm Chasers that Cameron Kosciuszko looking southwest.
Okay, so southwest, that would be looking,
so
it still would have been the right
way.
side of the screen for that storm back there towards Durant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll get you over here to these storms, which does look like that South Lee, South Pontotoc storm. Again, non-severe, but starting to collapse a little bit more.
Well, and the thing is, watch this outflow. It starts to move way out ahead of it. And so whenever that outflow is not exactly connected with that storm, that's when we really see the diminishing phase on these storms. So outflows are really the thing to watch. Whenever we say outflows, it's these green lines that kind of jut out ahead of the storm. That's going to be that cooler air that the rain is forcing out. It's like someone explained it as a miniature cold front. And so that's kind of a forcing mechanism that allows for more storms to be developed. And so whenever the front moves ahead of the storms, well, then the storms just weaken. That's typical cold front, but it's also typical outflow boundary. So probably those there towards Okolona still going to ride that outflow boundary that's being produced from that storm there towards Shannon. So one to watch there towards Okolona, but we're going to track this entire line moving southeast by about 10, 15 miles an hour, and you see plenty of times listed there on your screen. Macedonia 530. We're talking Wren by about 550. Is it Una or Una? Una. Okay, Una area by about 559, and then Prairie by about 615. Amory's
and again,
also,
that's the whole outflow. So I mean, it's possible additional development happens on that.
And it's also possible that some areas that are listed on that do not get a drop of rainfall.
Highly likely.
So that's the thing about that line. It's kind of giving people some false hopes. I do want to say that there will be some areas that do not get a drop, but there are still some more chances heading into the rest of our evening. That one up there towards Olive Branch has a flood advisory now being issued because of those heavy rainfall outputs. Let's pull up that accumulation graphic one more time, because I do want to take a look at the rainfall rates now. That's in place until 7:15 this evening. That includes Marshall County and over there towards Senatobia. That's going to be some of those rainfall rates coming in 4 to 5 inches. So
per hour.
That's a massive dumping of rainfall. And so some of these rainfall totals, not fully populated just yet, but already getting one of those 2-inch margins there on the northeast side of Olive Branch, just north of I-22. So paying attention to that storm for some flooding, flood advisories still be issued. And in areas that are flood prone, that's really what flood advisories are issued for. You saw that Boonville picture there on 9th Street. Well, that's a similar scenario to what you'd expect with the flood advisory. Those flood prone areas where some of those those waterways and those ditches get a little bit higher in heavy rainfall, well, that's the areas that are susceptible. So if you live near any of those are the areas to really be watching for with the flood advisory. Now, flash flood warning, it's a bit of a different story, but luckily we have stayed void of that so far. It's not impossible, but we're hopeful that that continues to stay the case. This one, this one storm over there in Tennessee, that's over there at Middleton and Selmer, that's trending southeast once again, and I'll get out of the way so you can see a few of those times on your screen. We're talking about the Kossuth area, 619, and Corinth by about 619 as well. Jonestown, 621, and Allentown happening about 624. So this is going to be one of those many thunderstorms that are just popping up in and around the area, and that outflow very visible along that leading edge as it moves across the Tennessee state line. So just assessing the entire scene, we're seeing a very active pattern here in North Mississippi. Luckily, I feel like rare circumstances have happened the past couple of weeks where Northwest Alabama is the driest. So they're finally taking a break, sharing the love, and now North Mississippi getting some of that rainfall. This one over there towards Artesia starting to develop a little bit more, definitely on the up and coming phase of that storm lifespan. Talking about storm heights, not overly tall on these, probably about 5,000 to 10,000 feet as of this point, but building, like I mentioned, and wouldn't be surprised to see a decent core develop on that storm as well with some heavy rainfall dumping out of it. Looking at storm heights on a lot of these, the heaviest ones are going to be out there towards Winston, Atala, Choctaw, basically all along that Grenada, Yalobusha, and Winona area. So watching those in particular because there are so many over there in that general area. Grenada, I think we're going to get lucky today, if it's not already.
Well, and my only concern is I hope that doesn't have too much hail with it. Let me slice into this one more time. Yeah, because this one has been one of our stronger, and we have that hail. Yeah, that hail core starting to fall. So let's see if we bring back the latest scan there. So this is where we have right there. That's a pretty impressive return, and yeah, now it's almost down. So I'm gonna look 2D on that. So it's right there on the south part of Grenada County. I mean, pretty much right where we have the slice going through it there, just to the west of 55, where I would say, I mean, right there in the middle of the screen where the pointer is, probably some hail, maybe up around ½ inch in size, I would say. I'm gonna bet radar is gonna overdo that just a little bit. So give me a second to pull that on, but.
Yeah, that threat tracker. It's probably saying about, what, 1.5 to 2 inches at this point?
Yeah, I'd say 1.5 inches. So I would say that it's possible you're going to get actually some hail to the ground. A lot of times we see hail overestimated in these really hot days. Could be the case. So most of these ½ inch you see around there, that's probably just blinding rainfall. But this probably does have some hail.
Yeah, so definitely watching for that. And folks there in southern Grenada County, some of our weather watchers out in the field, if you do get any of those hail reports, please let us know because we forward that information directly to the National Weather Service for them to assess the storms going forward with that information and could issue those warnings sooner if needed. So watching for that. If it's ½ inch hail, remember ½ inch hail is actually large enough, or actually it's 1 inch hail for the severe weather threat?
Yeah, 1 inch hail.
Yeah, 1 inch hail. So ½ inch hail still under that severe weather threshold, but at least shows you that there is vertical development on a lot of these. And if not hail, it's definitely going to be some dumping some of that heavy rainfall. Yalobusha County, so coming in. Is that some 3-inch returns right there on the southern end of Yalobusha?
Awfully close. Yep, there's a 3 in there.
So perfect. I mean, that's just, and there's more rain to come. And so Yalobusha are probably going to look at some possibility for some flooding. Same thing in and around Grenada County and Calhoun County. So watching this general area on the middle part of your screen for some of the most flooding concerns. Now, speaking of flooding, I mean, a great transition is talking about flooding then into the drought monitor. And the latest drought monitor was issued today. And unfortunately, that became a lot more widespread, basically encompassing the entirety of the northwest half of our state, back there towards Golden Triangle and further south. You guys are still not under a drought, but we need some rainfall kicking in so that way we can stay that way. That level 2 drought is now in effect for parts of Grenada, Yalobusha, and out there towards the Mississippi Delta. So those drought effects are getting worse, and that's just because it's been so hot and so dry. One of the things we look at for this parameter is, how high those temperatures get and the amount of rainfall we get. So getting 3 inches, well, 3 inches is a lot of rainfall. If we get all of that at one time, unfortunately, it doesn't do too much damage to the drought monitor. It's just a benefit for that day. We need 3 inches over about a 5-day span, and then we have enough rainfall to satisfy the environment. So that's the thing about the drought monitor. Yes, good heavy rainfall is good for the area, but only if it's spread out over a certain period of time. And unfortunately, in that extended forecast, those temperatures get higher and those rain chances get lower, so the drought monitor is probably going to get bigger. Drought monitor on the expanded side, we're definitely seeing those level 2 drought returns over there on the southwest Alabama side, and even parts of that over there towards Arkansas. But that drought in its entirety definitely expanding across the region. And I believe Coffeyville is now under a burn ban. Going ahead and throwing that information out there. We're going to work to get a list on that, but that's the one report that we have so far. So heading into our school day forecast tomorrow, rain chances not overly high. That last spell could see about a 10 to 20% chance of rain. But again, we're not expecting anything too major on that those rain chances, but the day going to be pretty nice throughout the day.
Absolutely. And I did want to take just a second and appreciate, point out up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, the good folks at IMPC coming together and help supporting us on Mississippi Live Weather. We appreciate them for doing that. I'll get out of the forecast, but you'll be able to see it at either 5 or 6 o'clock. Usually it's going to be one or the other, and then 10 o'clock each school night, which is funny to think about it like that. So that'll be Sunday night
through Friday.
And then
through Thursday.
Yeah, Sunday through Thursday, because if we show it on well, hopefully there aren't a lot of folks going to school on Saturdays.
Is Saturday school still a thing?
I don't think so. I hope not.
I went one time. Not for
Tell
bad
us
reasons.
oh, yeah.
I think I
no.
was practicing for the ACT, if I remember.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to take that on Saturdays.
Well, yeah, but it was a practice. It was not taking the real test, and I was so mad that I had to be there on Saturday. So maybe we'll throw in a Friday if there's ever ACT training.
We'll see about that.
But that was my Alabama people, so I don't know if you guys in Mississippi, hopefully don't do that. But looking at that forecast, though, I mean, the IMPC people are giving us a great forecast for our Friday. 74 degrees by drop-off, 87 by lunch, and 91 by that final bell. Again, isolated chances are possible towards our Friday afternoon, but not overly high. We're not seeing anything like what we're seeing today, and definitely not like what we saw yesterday. So here's a look at Futurecast for our evening. Those isolated downpours continue to pop up in and around the region. 7 p.m. Yeah, I'd say we definitely need to take those rain chances up to about 40% there towards 7, with those showers continuing to increase and develop more and more. So by 9, still some isolated downpours, but not overly high on the coverage. That starts to diminish just a bit as that sunset happens and that daytime heating pulls back just a bit. So 10 p.m. those chances do linger, but all those chances dissolve overnight. And by 1 a.m. we're on the drier side with mostly cloudy skies across the region. So that's going to be 2, 3, 4 a.m. early start to the day. If you're getting an early start on your Friday, it's going to be on the drier side, but it's going to be towards 6, 7 a.m. that we see some of those rain chances return there towards Alcorn, Tishomingo, and over there towards Franklin, Alabama. So low temperatures across the region. With that, the rain clearing out, we're going to cool off nicely. Low 70s across the region. That's not a bad forecast for this time of year. Futurecast in that extended forecast Friday, basically taking some of these isolated rain chances, having them linger there towards Marion and Franklin County there in Alabama. I mentioned that Northwest Alabama stayed on the drier side today. Well, Futurecast trying to do you guys a little bit of a favor and give you some of that moisture, but we're not expecting anything too widespread rain chance wise for our Friday. Again, staying on the drier side. A few of those pop-up showers and storms do develop there towards the afternoon. Seeing some of those light in nature by lunchtime, coverage about 10%, and that's where it'll sit for our 1, 2, and even up there towards 3 o'clock before we start to get more of those widespread chances, upping it to about 20% coverage with our best rain chances further south. It's this interaction between that frontal boundary that Matt was talking about at the start of the show and also a high pressure system to our south, circulating in that Gulf moisture. And so when those two things combine, well, that's where you could get some of those brief isolated showers. So we'll assess that more in detail coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, but continuing to assess rain chances right now, 5 p.m., those isolated chances do linger on in that forecast. So coverage taking a step back from what we have today, about 20% coverage for our Friday afternoon, enough to have that rain gear in the back seat of the car for any of those Friday evening plans. High temperatures, though, this continues to be the story across the region with low to mid 90s across the region and heat indices, yes, unfortunately, well into the triple digits for basically all of North Mississippi. The Delta coming in with the hottest temperatures, 105 to 106, so expect those heat advisories to be continued into our Friday as well. Let's take a look at that Friday night forecast. Those isolated chances do linger around in that forecast, but then starts to diminish overnight. We'll see that clearing just a bit, and that's a good thing with this forecast is that frontal boundary that you just saw move behind me, that's actually going to supply us with some of that drier air. So while Futurecast does show at least a few showers trying to form, it's again very aggressive on those rain chances. We're staying mostly dry through the day. Any afternoon activities you want to have planned, well, we're going to see a great forecast for that, and honestly will see a bit good bit of sunshine as well. 6 p.m., those isolated rain chances do start to clear out, and then we're staying dry into our Saturday night and again into our Sunday with, again, even drier conditions. So that's a great sign going forward. But with those dry conditions comes a cost, and that cost is going to be the heat. 96 to 97 out there in the Delta, 96 Water Valley and Bruce, 92 towards Boonville, Red Bay, and Iuka, and further south, 94 around Macon and Starkville. Heat indices, triple digits continue. Those heat advisories probably being expanded a little bit more east for our Saturday, so staying hydrated and staying cool definitely going to be essential through the day. Here's a look at those rain chances. We have 20% coverage for Friday, 10 on Saturday, and then we're saying 0 on Sunday. We can see a brief pop-up shower, but overall not going to see anything happen across the region. Going to be a very dry forecast, perfect for any Sunday afternoon plans at the park. Monday, 10%, 20 by Tuesday, and we build those rain chances back by Wednesday and Thursday. Still something we're paying attention to, though, because those rain chances aren't going to be overly high, especially with that heat returning. Next 2 days with that forecasted rainfall, some of those brief heavy downpours, again, would not be surprised to see about an inch to 2 inches in those returns. But then Sunday and Monday, our driest days, are going to see maybe a 1/100th of an inch, and that's on the best case scenario for that long range forecast. So dry conditions, unfortunately, going to probably expand that drought just a bit more depending on how much rainfall we get for our Thursday and Friday, and especially depending on what we get towards parts of next week. So we're going to keep you guys posted on this, but again, stay cool and stay hydrated. We're going to be walking through that heat forecast this week for this weekend coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6, and of course walking you through that atmospheric analysis in a little bit more detail.
And so one more time, I just want to double check because we had that storm that was on the verge. Just want to make sure something doesn't happen down there in particular this storm south of Grenada near Glenwild. That's expanding into Grenada. We'll just look again at the, I would say probably, actually, I'm going to try something up here that we typically don't use. Give me a moment.
It's still got a decent core on it, even though it's diminishing that latest scan.
Yeah, so I don't see a significant hail swath on that as I'm checking out one of the things. I'm going to probably have to click off lightning for a second. Just kind of looking at that hail potential. This goes into obviously the yellow and red when the confidence is higher that we have some hail. But say again?
I was just telling them, like, look at that scale at the top. Those whites and grays are the possible, and then with the increasing confidence, well, then it goes into those yellows, oranges, and especially reds. So the fact we're getting those white returns, well, that's a good sign. It shows that hail potential is more of a possibility, not a probability.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Possibility, not probability. In saying that, though, this is putting down whatever it's putting right now. So if this is hail, they're just south of the Thai plant area near Glenwild, the south of Grenada, between, of course, 55 and 51 there is where it's doing it right now. And that's going to kind of work its way to the north and east from that. So if it's going to produce some hail, it's going to be, I'll get you a little track on that there. It won't make it all the way up here. First couple spots, Thai plant, 542, next couple minutes there. And then maybe Grenada, well, it'll never make it to Grenada Landing. Okay,
it's a little bit of a stretch. I do want to say, I do hope folks slow down on I-55 this afternoon because with that torrential downpour, I mean, it makes driving conditions very hazardous, especially going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour.
Okay, so we will see you back here, of course, for Mississippi Live Weather coming up during our 6 o'clock broadcast. Of course, the app available free and for all those devices, right, Gabe?
Of course, you need to download it today. I've had it since day one, and I've never regretted a day of having it. So, but I might be heavily biased, but that's what I'm hearing from everyone around the area too. So you will not be disappointed downloading that on your phone today. Matt also taught me about some widgets you can add on your phone, so you can have the forecast displayed even on just your home screen. So.
My son taught me about those.
Look at you being tech savvy. Oh, you could have taken credit.
Yeah, I suppose. And of course, our next live broadcast will come up at 6 o'clock here from the Room to Room Weather Center. We hope you'll join us in about 20 minutes. We'll get things all figured out as we look ahead toward the pattern shift that's going to bring the heat. That's coming up Mississippi Live Weather at 6. We'll see you then.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
weather call double box up there. And back to Matt, the BAM. Okay. Hold on. Is that head? Let me see your head. That's.
Is that the new shot then?
I don't know.
I think it's your
No, but it's all your shot. I adjusted it all to your shot. I just so that we wouldn't have this issue. Hold on. Okay. We have 6 p.m. in there.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is